We saw some of the local restaurants here doing that, like saying, oh, we're not going to take cash because it's dirty and it's COVID. If you really know what the plan is, you can start to see the nuances that are occurring all around you all the time to sort of roll this adoption into place through retailers, right?
Correct.
First and foremost.
30% more businesses since 2020 have gone cashless. That is a shocking statistic. What?
Gold Rush 8.
There you go. I know you miss doing that anyway.
Yeah,
Be honest.
Super fun.
Your favorite part?
You just came back from the baseball
I did, yes.
event.
Yeah, that was awesome. For anyone who hasn't seen it, I recently did a video at a baseball game based on seeing all these buttons that said we're cashless, and I wanted to go back and investigate what that was like if I just came with cash. What would happen? It is wild to go somewhere that big with so many people who only had cash and be told you have to convert your cash to card, right? It's not even like, oh no, we just don't accept cash. It's, oh, we have a great solution for you. Go digital. And a lot of people were quick to point out too, like these reverse ATMs at the game where you put in your cash and it spit out a card. You could put in your phone number. There were cameras on the machine. You know, just everyone was kind of like, the cards themselves, they expired. There were fees over time. If you didn't use it, you lose it. So it was a really interesting experience. I know a lot of people commented on that video too, just scared about cashless society in general, which is obviously where we're headed.
Yeah, there was a report actually from 2015, I believe. I've referenced it before. It's called A Cashless Society. And interestingly enough, I don't know if you know this or not, but the IMF said in that report that the way to do it, the way to introduce a cashless society, like step one, was to do it through the retailers, through places like Starbucks or the ballpark or the grocery store, to not take cash, so that, because that would be the most acceptable way for us to say, oh, okay, fine, because, you know, it's other people that are in society
it's
that
not
are
the government decree.
Correct. It's other businesses that are saying, hey, we're not taking cash. So the fact that it's been introduced at the ballpark or any other retail location makes sense, right? Because they said, this is how we'll do it. If they can go cashless, then they can more easily control and manipulate inflation with interest rates, right? So if once you go cashless, you can go negative on interest rates. So let me explain. If you have cash and the bank says, okay, we're going to introduce a negative 10% interest rate. Now, the reason they would want to do that would be because they want you to spend your money, not save it, right? So they can create, if there is deflation, they can create inflation by making you spend your money, because, oh my gosh, if I keep my money in the bank, it's going to become worth less, right? If they go and they say, hey, we're going to go negative 10% interest on your bank account, well, what are you going to go do immediately?
Spend.
Or take it out in cash. Let me go get the cash out, so now I can stuff this cash under my mattress, and then now it won't lose its value. It'll still be worth the $100 bill. It won't be $90 in a month. Does that make sense? So if you go cashless, now you can go negative on the interest rates and there's no escaping to cash. You have to spend it how they want you to spend it, whether that's put it into the stock market, put it into the bond market, spend it out in the world, right? But what's step number 2? Central bank digital currencies. Because now if you go cashless and now you have a programmable currency, now you can actually dictate how people spend their money. So if they say, let's go negative on the interest rates, and let's say that the money that you have in excess savings now has to only be spent on putting into the stock market, or any number of things that they dictate where that money has to be spent. So if you don't spend it on what they want you to, now you just lose the value, you lose the principle of it, right?
Right.
So that's why I think people, are worried about it. And I know you said it in the video. It's like, oh, it's under the guise of like, it's for your safety, where we're preventing money laundering. It's like all these different narratives that it's like, it's for you.
Right.
But it's not for you.
No.
Like the escape to cash, the ability to shut down escape to cash is for the banks and the central planners. Central bank digital currencies are on behalf of the central planners and the banks. So it's all, people should be concerned.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But what can they do about it?
Well, that's what everyone kept asking in the comments. I saw a lot of people saying, that they were boycotting businesses that didn't accept cash, but they were wondering what they could do to protect themselves. And again, I think a big fear people have is as we move into a completely cashless society and this, control continues to increase and around what you could spend, how you can spend it, when you can spend it, it's essentially closing all those escape routes, like you were saying. And I know a lot of people are concerned about that when it comes to gold and silver as well. I saw a lot of comments, would I still be able to buy gold and silver with a CBDC, right? And I think that's a real concern that a lot of people have, because then it's essentially giving people that escape route to have money that is outside of their control, their system.
Yep. I mean, I don't think initially, we're not going to see negative interest rates initially. The central bank digital currency rollout will come first, right? That'll come first. Then, once they have that locked in, then all of the other like little restrictions and stuff will start to disappear. And I've said it on the channel before. Obviously, we have a lot of new viewers, but I believe once the central bank digital currency thing is completely in play, then they start closing out all the escape routes when they need, prior to when they need it. So escape to cash, shut down. Escape to crypto, shut down. Escape to maybe digital gold and silver, shut down. Possibly bullion gold and silver, shut down. That's why, one of the reasons why I really love pre-1933s is because they're more protected. There's a lot of nuances around it, but they're a lot more protected than bullion. They've been exempted from confiscation in the past. There's eminent domain laws that prevent, the ability to just mass confiscate them. So, but could they shut down the avenue to buy and sell those as well? Absolutely. But in my opinion, it's kind of one of the last things that will get shut down. So I think it gives people the most flexibility. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't go out and buy gold and silver of any kind. You should absolutely 100% own it, because nobody knows for sure what's going to happen,
right,
or when.
Right.
But have your options now and available before things get shut down. And certainly central bank digital currencies, if they're in place and everything comes outlawed and you own gold and silver, I'm sure they're going to do exactly what they did throughout history. There'll be a black market. People will be able to use these things, right? You should absolutely own gold and silver no matter what, if you believe that, central bank digital currencies and they're going to block everything and confiscate and all that kind of stuff. And obviously, if you want more details, you can always call and talk to one of our experts at ITM Trading. It's one of the things that we do is we're all about education, and we want people to understand all the nuances so they can make powerful decisions. And, decisions based upon historical precedent, utilizing our strategy so that you can best build what you need to. So absolutely, it's what differentiates us from other gold companies out there, right? We'll focus on education, build strategies custom to what you need for what you believe is coming. Central bank digital currencies, I've said it before with you even, I think once those go into place, it will be one of those things that generations from now will look back and go, that was the moment when humanity lost all control to the central planners, right? And then after that, they can really do, once they control the money and they can program it however they want, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, that's scary. I just got goosebumps. It's scary. It's actually like, I'm laughing because I'm uncomfortable, because it's terrifying really when you put it that way and you think about it that way.
Yeah, so what can you do to stop it? I don't know what you can do to stop it, other than like what David Webb is working on is one thing. Like, you can donate to his cause and help out that way. But it's really going to take more and more awareness. Talk about it with people. Bring people to the awareness phase, because the more people that are aware of it, the more that we can push back against it. and try to stop the adoption and the rollouts of it before it actually occurs. That's one of the things that we try to do on this channel is make people aware.
Yeah, absolutely. Spread awareness. I do think I'm encouraged often by the response I see online that does feel like there's a growing resistance, like a growing movement of people who are realizing, hey, this doesn't make sense, this doesn't feel okay. And I always say, trust your gut, right? If this isn't making sense that you have a $20 bill and you can't spend it somewhere, if you're starting to question why things are going cashless, if you're looking at more and more control, I mean, these are early stages, but it's happening quickly.
Or slowly. Because the IMF came out with their cashless report in 2015, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And they've slowly, obviously partly through COVID too, cash is dirty, it was an easy way for them to quickly implement more cashless policies, right? We saw some of the local restaurants here doing that, like saying, oh, we're not going to take cash because it's dirty and it's COVID. So if you really know what the plan is, you can start to see the nuances that are occurring all around you all the time to sort of roll this adoption into place through retailers, right?
Correct.
First and foremost.
30% more businesses since 2020 have gone cashless. That is a shocking statistic. And I agree with you, it is happening slowly, but that's why I say fast too. It's both at the same time, right? It's little by little, but then it's also, you can feel it happening. Talking about the IMF too, I think I saw an article they put out in 2021, to your point about negative interest rates with CBDCs too, saying that cash would always be a problem because it created a floor, right? This idea that cash is a thorn in their side because they can't control it the same way. They don't have total control. And that's really what they're after. That's the end goal there, is total control.
Right.
What's that quote? You control the money. Do you know what quote I'm talking about?
Yes. Well, if you give me control of the money supply, and I care not who writes the laws.
There you go.
Right. And because it's true. Like, once they get total control of the money, they don't need your vote.
Yeah.
Your opinion doesn't matter. Irrelevant. They can tighten the screws on anyone they want to.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, CBDCs are the biggest threat to our way of life. You need to push back against it, but you also need to have gold and silver outside the system. I like pre-33s, especially when you think about central bank digital currencies, because I think they've confiscated gold in the past, and that's the one way I think that they'll do it again. Central banks have been the biggest buyers of gold and silver for years, over a decade now. It's one way that they can get more of it by confiscating it, and that's why I love pre-33s more than any other type of gold. It has other functions and tools that you can use that I think makes it safer and in certain times perform better even, right?
There's been a ton of talk around a gold revaluation, whether it's one that's just happening naturally right now as part of the larger reset or an official one. And something that people often ask is, do we think there would be another confiscation, or what would that look like, right? If everyone's accumulating gold, all these central banks, and I know with the pre-33s, that's something that people often ask to learn more about.
Well, historically, it isn't pre-33s that weren't confiscated, because it was in 33 that the confiscation happened, but it was coins that were of rare or unusual value to collectors, right? And so that was so if you think of things in terms of what type of gold can I buy that's rare and unusual, and it's not bullion products that have a special mint on them or something like that. Don't get fooled by that crap. That's not rare and collectible just because, like ITM Trading, we have silver rounds, we sell them for the price of silver. They're not rare and unusual because they say ITM Trading, if you don't hold it, you don't own it, right? Or your Welsh Shield. That's not rare. Any bullion product is not rare per se. Rare and unusual, special value to collectors, that's what's been exempted before. So stuff that's actually rare and unusual, that's graded, that's been exempt from confiscation in the past. Premiums on right now are super low, so you can get them, in my opinion, super cheap with a lot of upside opportunity. Yeah, so, but that's a really in-depth conversation. If you guys, if you're out there and you're watching this and you want more information, obviously we have experts that work for us that can give you all the lowdown on bullion, historical, pre-33s, historical, like anything you want to know. You know, click the Calendly link in the description. You can set an appointment, talk to any one of our experts, and get into an in-depth conversation. But I personally, other than like silver, like 99% of everything that I own is pre-1933 graded gold coins for wealth preservation, surviving the reset, getting to the other side. Like,
we have some of the best experts too who know a lot about this, who could dive in deep for specific questions people might have. Although if there are questions, again, I welcome everyone to leave them on the video. I loved seeing all the questions that came out last time I told everyone. So if you have questions for us that you want us to talk about, leave them on the video.
You brought up like Basel III.
Oh yeah.
And the revaluation.
Well, that's been huge because we're rapidly approaching July 1st, which is the current deadline for the United States to adopt Basel III. Now, this is something we've talked about a lot on the channel, both Daniela and I and a lot of Daniela's guests, because it's a huge reclassification of gold as a tier 1 asset. And what that means essentially is that right now, under international law, gold is considered a tier 3 asset, meaning banks cannot hold it at its full recognized face spot value, which is insane when you think about it. It's considered a riskier asset than cash and bonds, which again, every time I say, it's hard to say that with a straight face because it is so mind-blowing.
Well, because you know why they actually classify it like that,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
Yeah.
So with Basel III, gold would be reclassified as a tier 1 asset, meaning it's just as safe, obviously much safer than cash and bonds, but therefore the key piece here is that it would incentivize banks to hold it in a way where right now they're de-incentivized, which should tell you something. The fact that central banks are buying as much gold as they are and they can't even count it at its full value should tell you everything you need to know alone about what's coming. But this will change the game completely because it will reclassify gold and they will be able to hold 100% of its value. Now, this, in my opinion, is part of the larger monetary reset that's going on with gold at the center. But a lot of people are saying, is this really going to happen on July 1st? Because we're inching closer and closer and closer. It remains to be seen. Of course, big banks lobby, now not central banks, but banks in the United States are unsure if they want to move forward with this because there are also capital requirements that are a part of this. That's what they're fighting, right? They don't want to hold more capital. They want to just make risky bets, and continue to do whatever they want with no safeguards, no safety rails at all. So it might get pushed off. It's been pushed off in Europe. But to that point, for everyone out there who's saying, oh, if it doesn't happen on July 1st, what does that mean for the reset? What does that mean for gold? What does that mean for revaluation? In my opinion,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, the reset is in motion, period. This is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. But again, I think all you have to know is watch what they do, not what they say, right? The central banks are buying, like you said, at record amounts. That tells you everything you need to know about what's going on and what's coming next, in my opinion. Representative Mazie introduced a bill, the Gold Transparency Act of 2025, demanding a full audit of the reserves and a public release of the information.
Yeah, and do you think that's going to get passed? No, because what are the central bankers going to do? Put the screws on the people who can vote no against it, and make sure it doesn't go through.
100%. But I appreciate the effort. I think, again, part of the raising awareness and the resistance we were talking about, sometimes it can feel, a little bit hopeless, like how much control do we really have over what they're doing? I don't know, but again, raising awareness and being sure that you can take control back in your own hands, is, I always try and focus on what I can control, but at the same time, getting the word out, I think that's awesome work. Yeah, I recently just got back into CrossFit, actually, which is funny. It was something I started when I was first getting into prepping because I made this bug out bag that was so heavy. It was comical because I tried to go for a run with it and I could barely get a couple blocks without being winded. And I thought, how many people out there have these bags and they can barely carry them? And that's not going to get me very far. So I was in a city at that point and I thought, if I can't even get out a couple blocks, I'm not going to last very long. So I'm back on the strength training, which has been awesome. I love that. I think physical well-being is an area actually of preparedness that's often overlooked if you're able to do so, if you're well enough and able to do so, you know. Yeah.
I'm trying to play golf again.
Nice.
Which is cool.
Is that a key word? Trying like you're trying to get out, or trying to play it well?
Like trying to get better, because it's freaking hard. We live in Phoenix, right?
Yeah.
People are not playing golf. It's 10:45 people, and it's 104 degrees out.
People are still playing.
Oh, I know.
It's cheap right now
It's
to play.
totally cheap. Let's see what's the high.
It's the discount play right now, the hard-nosed.
It's going to be 113 degrees today. Definitely not golfing.
Cool.
Ooh, look at that car. That's a $2 million Porsche, a 918 Spider.
I don't know enough about cars. So with a car like that, like how many roughly? Do you have a sense? Are we talking like
918.
No, you did not just know that off the top of your head.
I think we had a good talk today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think again, it's all about balance, right? So a lot going on, a lot of scary topics, but at the same time.
Don't just watch our content, go watch something fun.
Yeah.